In this tutorial, what we're gonna do is to discuss on some of the features that are available to you in data tables, features that has to do with styling your tables. So here under styling, if you scroll down from the data tables example index that we had, if you can recall the examples index, if you scroll down to styling, you're gonna see several options that you can check out and see how to style your data tables. If you recall the previous example we did in the previous video, this was what we had. And over here, I would like us to start with assigning cell borders, because as you can see, this table doesn't have borders in between the cells. So if we click on this example about base style cell borders, you will see that this example demonstrates to you a data table that has cell borders in between the cells. So we are gonna apply the same thing over to our own employee records over here in our project. So how do we go about doing that? Now again, if you check out the HTML code of data tables over in this example, you'll see that they've added a class called cell border, and this class is actually pointing to a CSS class that is in the jQuery DataTables.css file that we attach in our web page. Okay. In other words, if we go over to NetBeans, what I'm trying to say is the CSS file we attached in the previous tutorial, in this folder, in the CSS folder, we had this jQuery.datatables.css file. So if you double click on that CSS file, you're going to see that there is a class called cell border in the CSS file. You can search for it by pressing Ctrl F and put cell border. Then if you click on next, you should be able to make a quick find and identify cell border classes in the CSS file. So so there are a lot of cell border definition in this CSS file. I believe this is the one we are using. So if you wish to apply it in your data tables, you have to add a class called cell border in the table tag. So again, you can just simply copy and paste. So I'm going to highlight that and copy it. And I'm going to go over to NetBeans. Then I'm going to paste it. Let's remove this no wrap. Okay, let's leave it there. You know, you can combine classes to give more concise extra features. So let's combine it and see how it's going to look like. If it's not good, then we can remove this and use only the cell border class. Alright, so I've saved the file. Let's check it out back to the web browser. And here's our example. So we expect to see all these cell border lines in between the cells, which are not present here. So I'm going to refresh the page. And I believe you saw the difference. There are cell border lines in our data table. So you know, you can customize your data tables anyhow you want in your preferred way, the way you want it to appear. So all you need to do, like I told you, which I've always been telling you, is to check the examples index, and then you should be able to, you know, take a look at whatever features you want to tweak and apply it on your code. So apart from cell borders, we can also activate compact on the table. Let's take a look at what that does. The compact class is used to reduce the amount of white space the default styling for the data table uses, increasing the information density on screen as shown below. So what they are saying is that they can use compact to reduce all the amount of white space, extra white spaces, whatever that really means, because I've seen a whole lot of white spaces here. Probably maybe there are some records that actually reach this length. Let's paginate and see. Okay, that's the last. So, well, probably there must be some padding, but that's what they mean, is to reduce the amount of white space this stuff uses. So again, if you want to achieve that, you can go over to your HTML code and simply add the compact class, and then you can see how that goes. So I'm not actually interested in applying this one, so let's move over to some other features. The base star for hovering, it's base star hover. You can see if you want to hover on a particular row, and you can see that effect of hovering that's moving along the table. So I believe we always have something like that by default, but you can always apply the hover class. Like I showed you, you go over to the HTML code and then apply the hover class. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so I actually wanted to get the hover class. So so now that I've got the hover class, I can add it to, so that my data table will have cell border and will also be hoverable, if there's such a word. So you can, what I mean is that you can be able to hover on it when you move your mouse across the rows. So I'm gonna refresh and let's see if there's gonna be any changes. Yeah, I can see that the hovering effect is more responsive now than before, but there are some people who may not really see that hovering that much because of some, maybe their eye clarity is not that tight. So if you really want to make a very distinct hovering color along the rows, you could go over to the CSS file and then modify the CSS file to your own taste. And okay, let me show you how to do that. So I'm gonna go over to the CSS file, which is this jQuery DataTables.css, and I'm gonna search for the hover class. So I'm gonna do a Control F, which will bring my find, and then I can type .hover for the hover class. Then let me place my cursor in the beginning of the star sheet. Then I'm gonna click on next. So here is the first this should be the first existence of the hover class in the star sheet. So you can see the background color here, and take a look at it. You can see that we have the markup, the selector is a T-body TR hover, so with the sub selector of the hover. So if you wish to change this color, because I believe that's the ash color that we're having, let's see. NetBeans gives us the flexibility to be able to do color choosing. So I'm gonna put an ash there, and I press Ctrl space, and it's gonna bring a color chooser for me to choose some colors that I can use to select a default hovering color that I wish to apply, or a custom hovering color, I mean to say. So let's say I wish to have a light green hovering color, like such, something not too deep, so that we should be able to read the text. So I'm gonna click on OK for that sample color. Now you can see the color has changed to CCFFCC. So I'm gonna save it, and hopefully that's gonna work. So I'm gonna switch over to the web browser. I'm gonna refresh, and then you can see that the rows that I am moving across are actually showing the hovering, the different color effect that I had selected. So that's how to apply hovering. Now if you observe, there is this particular row first name is not actually taking effect with that color. That's because there is actually a a class that is affecting the background color of this column, this first name column. And the reason why is affecting the first name column is because the first name column is the one that is sorted by default. And if you wish to do sorting, apply sorting on the age column, if you click on the age column to apply the sorting, you're going to see that the first name column has changed its background color to green when I hover over it, and the age color is not changing its background color. So this is just to give you a little reminder that the particular column that the background color is not taking effect is the one that is being sorted. So, and I believe that's a cool feature. It's good for me. If it's not good for you, you can still, override this effect, this background color effect. I'll always advise you to take a look at the inspector of your web browser. In Firefox, I can always grab my inspector by pressing Ctrl+Shift+I to bring up the inspector. And if you're not comfortable with shortcuts and you can't, easily remember Ctrl+Shift+I, you can always go over to the Firefox menu and then go over to your developer tools. Then you're gonna see the inspector, which is the same thing as Ctrl+Shift+I. Ctrl+Shift+C is to get to the inspector, but if you want to toggle the entire tools, it's gonna be Ctrl+Shift+I, which is what I pressed. Actually used to Ctrl+Shift+I because Ctrl+Shift+C is for some other feature that I've configured in my system. So you can use Ctrl+Shift+C or you can use Ctrl+Shift+I to toggle your tools on the inspector. So here is the inspector. So I toggle the inspector and then I can use this arrow to pick an element from the page. So when I come over here, I can pick an element from the page, and then you can see that this td tag has this class sorting underscore 1. So you can apply a particular extra star to override this sorting underscore 1. Let's take a look at this other one. So let's select this. See what kind of class. You can see it's still the same sorting underscore 1, but on the first td tag. So if you wish to override that, you can always override that by coming over to the rules over here in the inspector, and you can see the what color that is causing that hovering effect not to work, and that's happening on jQuery DataTables.css on line 156. So if you wish to disable this feature, you can go over to line 156 in our star sheet, and here it is. And then you can simply just comment it out, or you delete the code and then save it. So I'm gonna go over to the web browser, then I'm gonna refresh, and hopefully it's not gonna be overriding, but it is. So probably there's some other code that is overriding that star. Let's take a look at line 138. So there is another code there. So you see, if it doesn't work, you don't give up. You check it out again, and you see some other code that might be overriding that star. So at line 138, we still have a background color for sorting underscore 1. So I'm gonna go over to line 138, and here it is. So here's the code, this particular one. So I'm gonna comment it out. Then I go over to the web browser and then I refresh. So, and hopefully we are not gonna see that overriding effect. There's still some other code that is overriding our let's take a look at it. Shall we disable this? This line 138. So let me refresh that again and check it out. Okay, so if it doesn't work, don't worry. Just let's take a look at what could really actually be overriding and still applying this class sorting underscore one. It's line 156 in jQuery data tables, and there's another one overriding it at line 120. So you can just keep on removing all of them until you get it. So here's another one, because sorting underscore one has been applied here. Okay, so here's another one at okay, this is not a background color, and we have another one at line 106. So here it is, sorting underscore 1 2 3. So one thing I warn you is that be careful how you modify this stuff, and that's why I commented, so that if it breaks something else that was important, we can always bring it back. Alright, finally you can see that this was achievable. So you can see all the columns are now taking effect when you hover over it. However, the column that is sorted is not having any effect to show you that this particular column is sorted. The only thing you can use to deduce that this column, the first name column, is the one that is being sorted is the tiny arrow or triangle, that is triangular icon that is showing over here. And if you come over and sort the edge, you can see that icon over here. So this shows you that your edge is sorted, but the effect we wanted to achieve, which is hovering throughout the columns, showing when you hover over each column and it shows you different background color, we've been able to achieve that. So that's it for this particular video. Let's stop there for now. On the next video, I'm gonna explore some other features of DataTables. So I hope you found this informative, and thanks for viewing.